don't take road trips very often, as I prefer taking a plan if I have to go anywhere far. But due to the short notice of a family member's funeral, I had to drive about 10 hours to my cousin's house. I wasn't entirely sure how long I'd be away, so I packed enough stuff to last a week and began my drive the following morning around 10 a.m. It had probably been 5 or 6 years since I had driven this far, but I was still confident that I could make it there in one day without needing to stop at a hotel or anything. A couple hours into the drive, the storm could started forming ahead, and an hour later I was driving through heavy rain and thunder. The roads I was driving on were long and went through plain fields and sometimes small forests. Some portions of the road were in the valley, so all of the water from the rain would flow down onto the road with basically no draining system. This made me have to slow down drastically to ensure that I didn't slide off the side or get caught in a folded portion of the road. At one point I couldn't even cross through due to the path being completely flooded. I couldn't risk my car breaking down or getting stuck in the middle of nowhere on the empty road, so I was forced to turn around and find different roads. All of this caused the drive take much longer than I had planned, and after almost 8 hours of driving, I still had 5 hours to go. The sun was already setting. I was pretty exhausted from having to focus so much on driving in the rain, so I knew I needed to find somewhere to get some rest before continuing the drive. It took 45 minutes of trying my hardest to stay awake before I found a small town where I could pull over. By a small town, I mean it literally had maybe 20 buildings in it and a few random farmhouses scattered around miles away. I drove around to see if there was a motel or anything, but of course it didn't have one. The best place I could find was a small parking lot to a local grocery store, so I parked my car in the far corner. The town was quiet, as in the fact that none of the lights were on other than a few street lighters, and no cars were on the roads. The place was a little creepy, so I made sure to lock my car. I looked around for a few minutes before I leaned my seat back. I closed my eyes. I knew it seems like this was a bad idea and that I really should have known better, but it was pretty late and the rain was still coming down really hard, so I wasn't too worried at the time about anything happening during the night. Anyways, it felt safer than just parking on the side of the empty road with no help around if I needed it. 10 minutes later, I fell asleep to the sound of the heavy rain on my car. When I woke up, I noticed the thunder and lightning had gotten louder. Looking around, the whole parking lot was much darker than I had been when I got there, but in the distance I could make out of the figure moving towards my car. I stared at them, waiting for them to make the turn or go somewhere else, but the further they walked, it became clear that they were heading for me. The rain made it difficult to see, but once they were 20 feet away, I could tell it was a man. I started getting really creeped out, especially since it was pouring outside and this guy didn't seem bothered by it at all, but I could tell he wasn't holding anything. I was pretty confident that he couldn't just break into my car. Once he was just a few feet away, he started walking towards the back door. Then, rather than trying to open them or break in, he put his hands flat on the door and started pushing as if he were trying to literally push my entire car. I didn't know but the fact that he was trying to push my car told me that this was definitely crazy. I put my key in the ignition and I started it up, turning on the headlights and everything as to warn the guy that I was there. But the man didn't even flinch. He continued trying to push as if his life depended on it. I had enough at this point. He slowly started backing out, the man following the car back a couple of steps, keeping his hands on it before letting down. He stood and watched me as I pulled away and began leaving the lot before I started walking back in the same direction that he came. I didn't stop the rest of the way to my cousin's house.